Philadelphia, get ready to be inspired. If you need help finding the light in the darkness, don't touch that dial. Let's navigate life through the lens of hope with Scotty P. Inspirational speaker Scotty P speaks the importance of mental health in society and encourages techniques to overcome the everyday mental health obstacles that hold us back in life. It's not just inspiration, it's Scotty P inspiration.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to the Scotty P Inspiration Show, the beginning of Season 3. Thank you so much for everyone who is joining us today for the inaugural episode of Season 3 for the Scotty P Inspiration Show. I had to say it twice because I'm excited about it. I got to tell you, when I first started this, I didn't think that we would have a following. I didn't think that we would make it 3 seasons, but here we are. So kudos to you, all the listeners, everybody who shared this, everybody who supported the show, and even people who have only listened to it once. Thank you so much for supporting it. We're really excited. I can't wait to get this season started. I got a lot of good content I feel coming up, and I'm really inspired too. So thank you, everybody, to start. So everyone, now that we're starting season 3, a couple things are going to be exactly the same. Pretty much nothing is going to change because I want you to be able to take this message, whatever it is that I'm talking about today, and apply it to your life right here, right now. You don't want to be going out here saying, and using all these fancy jargon, corporate words and doing this and that. Forget it, man. This is real. This is honest. This is stuff that's going to help you right here, right now. And it is stuff that we all experience on a daily basis. And just like my tagline says, the whole point of this show is want to help you to navigate your life through the lens of hope and rediscover the resilience within yourselves. All right, everybody. So without further ado, we're going to keep on brand how we do it here at the Scotty P Inspiration Show. And we are going to jump right into things. All right. For today's episode, I kind of give it a general title. I don't know if this will be the title or not, but what I said and wrote down was, how do you see it? How do you see it? And when I was coming up with this idea and I wrote this down, I think a lot of things were inspiring me about it. A lot of things in my own life and in people that are around me and people that I work with, because it seems like every single one of us is enduring some type of struggle almost constantly, right? There's never going to be a time where we don't have some type of issue, some type of problem that is just completely blinding us from seeing anything else, right? But I've realized, okay, if we all have this struggle, we all have these different problems, whatever they might be, they're going to be there. There's nothing we can do about that sometimes. However, there is a choice for how we choose to see it. And so my question to you today is, how do you see it? How do you see that struggle in your life right now? Whatever it is, how are you viewing it? How do you see it? And I want you to really think about that throughout this episode today. And I want you to write down how you see it. And I want you to be honest with yourself, not just say, well, Scott would probably want me to say that I see it in a positive light. So I'm going to write that down. No, be honest with yourself, because that's where growth happens, right? So once again, I will say it to begin this here. How do you see it in reference to whatever that struggle, whatever that obstacle, whatever that hurdle is in your life right now? How do you see it? Okay, so let's dive a little bit deeper into this. One of the things that I was thinking about when it came to this topic was the interpretation of different events that happen in our lives, right? And from a psychology standpoint, the interpretation of the event is often way worse than the actual event itself. Think about it. When you're a young kid and, I don't know, let's say you get some ice cream and you drop ice cream on the ground, right? And then you're crying, you're freaking out, and you're saying, oh my goodness, I'm a failure because I dropped my ice cream. I'm an ice cream dropper. I'm never going to amount to anything. Look at me. I can't even hold my cone up, right? When in reality, the event was pretty simple. You dropped some ice cream. But look what the interpretation was. I'm an ice cream dropper. I can't do anything right. Oh my goodness, I'm forever going to be tainted by this, right? So that's a real basic example, elementary example. But as we get older, maybe it's, oh my goodness, somebody broke up with me. No one's ever going to love me again. And so now we have that interpretation of the event much more severe than the actual event, because we know breakups happen all the time, right? But how you interpreted it, that interpretation of I'm broken, I'm damaged goods, no one's ever going to love me again. That's where the toxicity comes into play. And I think this is something, I'm going to stop saying I know this is something that we need to work on. Because there are events out here that are happening left and right that we think are the biggest thing ever, that are the biggest things in sliced bread, that are like the most diabolical thing in the world to us. But it's not actually the event, it's the interpretation. That's what's throwing us off. That's what's giving us trouble, because how we're seeing it, ding, 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 back to the title, is as if it's some catastrophic event. And we're allowing how we see it, the lens in which we look at it through, to just completely derail our emotions, derail our actions, derail our relationships, derail our pride, derail everything in our lives because of how we are interpreting something that happened. Right? And this is anybody you talk to deals with this. And so many of us aren't even aware of it. That's really the problem. So if we could start to become aware of it, it's going to make a bit of a difference. Not saying it's going to change everything instantly, but it's going to make a difference. Because when you have that event that happens, that negative situation, that detrimental thing, whatever, not detrimental, that problem, whatever it is, when you're able to realize that you could separate how you think about the problem from the problem, whoa, things are going to be different. Right? So that interpretation is something that you want to ask yourself. And for you to listen, I want you to ask yourself that today. I want you to, again, look at a struggle. Maybe you've recently had an event that maybe wasn't so great in your life. And I want you to look at it. And I want you to really ask yourself, what was worse here? The event that actually took place, or how I interpreted the event? Excuse me. Okay, I want you to write that down. I want you to ask yourself, I want you to think about that, whatever it is. Again, I don't know what that event is in your life, but I want you to think about that, okay? Because it's really going to help foster some self-awareness in us to be able to just keep ourselves a bit more grounded when we have these uncontrollable, difficult times that come into our lives. And that's really what we want to do today. What I'm trying to help people with in this episode today, and actually something I'm working on with a lot of people with too, some of my clients, is, man, it just seems like it's raining cats and dogs sometimes with some of these events in people's lives. Like everything's going wrong. Nothing is going right. We can't seem to get one step before we go 3 steps back, right? And it's just overwhelming if we choose to view it that way. And so if we can't change these seemingly events that are just all coming out of nowhere that are terrible for us, maybe what we need to change is our interpretation of them and how we're viewing it on a daily basis. Something to think about for you today. Not saying it's easy. No. But essential and something that's totally going to make a difference for us. Okay? So with that, I kind of want to do a little quick exercise. I know I just gave you a little bit, a few different kind of exercises within there, but I want to do something like this. I want you to, I love writing things down. I'm old school. I think that's a great way to do it. But if you want to do it on your phone, that is fine too. Whatever works, as long as you can get these words down in a place where you're going to see it, wherever that might be. Okay. I want you to, on one side, you can make a little T-chart, whatever you want to do. But on one side, I want you to write down what you feel about a certain event in your life from an emotional standpoint. Okay, so let me simplify this a bit more. Let's take an event that has been really difficult for us. Okay, that's on the top. Then we're making a T-chart. On the left-hand side, I want you to write down what you have felt from an emotional standpoint because of that event. Okay, that's on one side. Got it? Cool, nice, bet. Yee. Now, on the other side, I want you to write down what you could see from a potential standpoint. Let's think about that. So we're writing down this event that happened, this difficult event, this trying time in our lives. Great. Now on the left side, we're writing down what we feel from an emotional standpoint. And on the other side, we're writing down what we see from a potential standpoint. Okay, now this very simple exercise, you know what this does? This helps us to acknowledge what we feel because we do not want to suppress. I've said a million times, suppression leads to regression. No, this helps us to acknowledge what we're feeling. But at the same time, it forces us to focus on how this can be helpful to us. It forces us onto how to use this as a stepping stone. It forces us to say, okay, I see that this is a struggle, but I also cannot ignore that something can come from this that can propel me forward in my life. Because so many of us spend so much time looking at the left side of that grid, looking at how I feel about this and what happened here. And because I feel like this, I guess this is just the end of the road of this situation. I guess I just got to stay stuck here. I guess I just got to be in this difficult spot where I can't even get out of bed in the morning because I'm so upset and frustrated with my life. I guess this is all that's there. And we don't look to the other side of that T-chart to recognize that there's potential for something here. That potential might not be apparent to you yet, but open your mind to the idea that maybe, just maybe, this isn't all bad of a situation for you. It might be 99% bad, but guess what? There's 1% that represents potential for something good to come from. And this little exercise that I just shared with you forces us to see both sides of the story instead of only obsessing over one. Okay, so I really want you all to try doing that. Maybe after the show, during the show, whatever you got to do. But again, to repeat it, very simple. Take an event that's really causing you a lot of stress, pain, drama, whatever it is in your life. Make a T-chart. On the left-hand side, we're going to write down how we feel from an emotional standpoint because of this event. On the right side, we're going to write down potential that we see because of this event. Okay? Do it. Got it. Cool. Nice. Let's go. I want to dive a little bit deeper into this topic here of how you see it. And I want to kind of go over to the anxiety standpoint of things here, because a lot of times when we have those difficult events in our lives, the anxiety becomes so overwhelming that we feel like we can't see any potential. We feel like we can't see any way out of it. We feel like that we're going to be stuck in this place forever and nothing is ever going to change for us. And the anxiety just torments us day and night, every single second of the hour, minute, day, you name it, right? But here's what's important for us to understand. I think a lot of times this anxiety really manifests in our lives because we obsess over our feelings, right? So there will be, here's, again, psychology, here's a little bit for you. What happens is there's a stressor in our life, okay? Let's say it's school for someone, or, your boss is breathing down your neck at work, or there's relationship troubles, whatever it is. There's a certain stressor that comes into our life that really starts to kind of produce some of this anxious energy, this anxiety in us, okay? The problem is sometimes this stressor will come and it'll go. It'll be gone, but the anxiety stays. Okay, that's when we know that we have there's an issue here. After the stressor is gone and we still see this anxiety just wreaking havoc in our lives. And this is what happens with so many of us, right? We have this one event that produces this anxiety. The event is gone. It's in the past, but yet we're still carrying around this anxiety like it's attached to us, like it's part of our body. And we need to learn to be able to let that go and turn that anxiety into something that is going to produce something fruitful for us in our lives, which can be done. But we've got to understand to separate the anxiety from the event, separate where we were from where we are, where we're going. 3 different places. Where we were, where we are, and where we're going are 3 different places. So why would we mush all of that together just because of where we were at one time? You feel me that? You feel me? Right? Why would we take the anxiety from 3 years ago of something that happened and allow it to just manifest and completely control our present moment and destroy our future? We need to learn to drop it. Just like that event's done, the anxiety's got to be done. And there's so many different ways to work through that. And I've talked about this on a lot of my different episodes. So you can go back and search through that if you want, because I want to take this thread a little bit of a different spot here. But we've got to learn and understand how to do that. Now, I know this stuff is difficult that we're talking about, and you might feel like, okay, I've got it 1 day or 2 days out of the week, but then the rest of the days, I'm just, I feel like I'm just chained down by my problems or my issues or this or that. This stuff's not always easy, and I understand that. And it's something I'm still working with in my life with my own struggles as well. But what I do know is that when I am not aware of it, that's when things get worse. But when I make myself aware of it through these exercises that I do, through my faith, through these different emergency joys that I have, it really makes a difference for me. And that's something that I hope you could take from this show as well today. Okay. So again, let's go back to that title. How do you see it? How are you interpreting the events of your life? And you know what one of the most sad things in the world is to me? In somebody with a life full of potential that has just continually been interpreting the events like everything is against them and everything is personal. Somebody who has just completely given up on anything and anyone in life because they have interpreted every event that's happened to them as it was a worst thing ever and a personal attack, and no one's ever felt anything like them before. And that's one of the saddest things in the world to me. going through life with the expectation that everything was going to be great and perfect, and then going through life after that with the expectation that everything's been done to you personally and it's a personal attack. I see so many people with carrying around this type of mentality, and they were just miserable. They're miserable because how they're seeing their life, how they're viewing their life, and haven't been able to step back and realize, wait a minute, what happened to me doesn't define me. And what happened in my life doesn't have to become my life, if that makes sense. And I want to make sure that the people listening to this show today on this new season, episode 1, understand that you are more than whatever has happened to you. That you are more than your worst day. You are more than your most anxious day. You are more than what those weird people say to you. You are more than what people have rejected you. You are so much more than all of that. If you don't believe me, ask God. He'll tell you. Yeah. But we've got to start changing how we view our life and the events in it. We've got to start. We're not going to make that progress. We're not going to be the person we want to be. We're not going to be the person that we're called to be until we start to drop some of that baggage that we're carrying around with us because of the way that we've interpreted our life and our events. If we switch that interpretation, we are going to see change. I can guarantee you that. And guarantee that. But it starts with recognizing it. And maybe that starts today for you. Maybe today for you, you're like, you know what? I've never actually thought about viewing my circumstances differently. I've never actually thought about maybe the event wasn't that bad, but I made the interpretation into something even worse. And if that's the revelation for you today, that is awesome. That is great, because that means you're one step closer to me being able to break free from those chains of that past and those difficulties and all of that just anxiety that came with the interpretations that were negative that you had. That's the beginning right now. And that's a beautiful thing. It really is. So here's something as we get towards the end that I really want you to take from this. Just a little mantra, if you will. I wrote this down. I said, how do you see it? How do you feel it? And how do you view it? How do you see it? How do you feel it? And how do you view it? Here's how I mean by that. Every situation, we see it a certain way. Every situation, we feel it a certain way. But the one that's a bit of a wild card after how we see it and how we feel it is how we view it. That's the one that's a bit different. Because when we see something that happens, sometimes you can't ignore it. It's like, hey, this is evident that this is what happened. Okay, I see this. I see it. I acknowledge it. Then to the next one. How do you feel about it? Well, we're humans. We're going to have feelings. Man, this sucks. This isn't fair. I'm upset. I'm insecure. I'm angry. I'm frustrated. All relevant feelings. Okay. But here's where the change is. Like I said, how are we going to view it? Are you going to choose to allow the feelings to be all of how you view it? Are you going to choose to what you see in the situation to be completely how you view it? Or are you going to flip that? And you're going to say, okay, I see it. I feel it. I'm acknowledging that, but I'm going to choose to view it differently. I'm going to view it differently. I'm going to view my pain as one step closer to my purpose. I'm going to view my struggle one step closer to making me strength. I'm going to view the people that hurt me as nothing more than something that's making me grow. When we go with that type of mentality, we let go of the interpretations of the past. And we see ourselves and our situation in a total new light. Something that's going to allow us to move forward instead of staying stuck or reverting to backwards old ways. And I think that's really liberating and something that we can all get to and reach as long as we're willing to become self-aware and start the process and the work that it's going to take to be able to move through this stuff. And I hope that this episode could really open some eyes for you all today and maybe give you something to think about, give you something to ponder as you go through the end of this summer and starting the new school year or work year, whatever it is. Something to consider, everybody. How do you see it? So as we're wrapping this episode up today, first off, again, I want to say thanks so much, everybody, for bringing Scotty P Inspo Show for a third season and for tuning in and listening. But everything that we talked about today is all about what lens we're choosing to view life through. And just remember that. We're choosing to navigate life through the lens of hope here at Scotty P Inspiration, but many people choose to navigate life through the lens of dread, anger, frustration, self-pity. So ask yourself, what lens are you looking at your situation through today? And what lens have you been looking at your life through? And if it's time to change the lens, let's go to work. Or if it's time to add more evidence to the lens so that you can see that hope, so that you can see that progress, so that you can see that potential, let's go to work. Let's get after it today. Let's do the work that needs to be done. Let's put in the time and the strategies and the effort. And let's fight back against that old negative perceptions. And let's choose to view it differently and draw a line in the sand and start fresh today. So everybody, thank you so much for joining us for the first episode of season 3 for the Scotty P Inspiration Show. Hope you're able to take something positive from it and some of those little strategies could help you, because that's what we're trying to do. We keep it quick, we keep it concise, and we're going to give you little things that you can take, little nuggets right here, right now to help you in your day. So thanks so much again, everybody. Tune in again next week for episode 2 of season 3. We got so much more content and ground to cover, and I can't wait to get it started with you all. So everybody take it easy. Thanks again. See you next week. It's Scotty P signing off.